All right. You know what? People are digging the Mega Man music, so let's just keep going with it until it's done. Although this might be the last one with X4 music, because I think I need to do a little bit of X6 music after. Anyway, hi everyone, welcome to 2024, and today we are going to be starting the new review process for Wotv this year. The previous year, I danced around a lot with different formats, different ways of reviewing units, and I think it got a little bit confusing, not only for everybody else, but for me too, because I just couldn't keep a format straight. So starting with the new year comes a new resolution to be a little bit more set in stone how I want to do things. So I'm going to try and make it really, really easy to follow by essentially having specifically when you click on a video, like the thumbnail will be specific colors for the specific videos. So let's take a look really quickly before we jump into talking about our unit of the day. So 2024 video format for units. First few days will be the data review, where essentially we take an initial look at all the numbers, everything, and kind of make a very quick impressions of what we think of the unit's kit. After that first video will come the initial judgment, where we take a unit into battle, test that unit out, see what we think, and make an initial judgment of how good the unit is. And there's going to be a rating system for it. More on that later. 2 weeks later will be the final judgment video, and this will be generally shorter ones, just talking about what has been up with that unit in the last 2 weeks, what they've gotten that might have improved them overall, and whether or not I think they are worth it, which, given the global timeline of when stuff comes from JP to you guys, I think should be pretty comfortable. So that is the general format. If I am a little bit late on the final judgment, just send me a friendly reminder and I will try to get to it. So today we're going to be taking a look at Lucio, new Lucio as a matter of fact, and this unit is pretty exciting because in 2023 we started 2023 with essentially a light elemental UR story character and an earth elemental collaboration character, and here we are starting 2024 with almost the exact same thing. Funny how that works, right? So let's take a look at Lucio. We're going to jump right over here. I want to show off his limit burst first because this is a pretty shiny one. Take a look at this, multiple colors, which I quite like for, you know, light, since it's a combination of all the colors together, and dispelling the darkness. Really, really nice thematic limit burst for this character. Quite happy with that. Something also I do want to mention that we have noted very quickly is that new Lucio is actually coded to use some of old Lucio's exclusive equipment and get bonuses for it. So old Lucio did have, for instance, his own unique sword. That's not the right one, but you get the idea. Those bonuses work for new Lucio as well. And the interesting thing is, what I say most of it is because some of the, I do believe the necklace has not been coded properly. And this is the thing of, is it a bug or a feature? You'd have to ask Gumi, and lately, given that there's a few bugs in the game, I would say that it's probably a bug, but more details on that later. So here is essentially a built Lucio with a light elemental party with Chaos Bahamut, taking a general look at his stats and numbers really quickly, and then we're going to jump into the Wotv calc data. Now, two things to note with the actual Wotv calc data. First of all, we have his new sword, which does give slash attack resistance penetration of 20, as well as AoE resistance of 8 and slash attack of 15. Which generally is a pretty nice piece of equipment. As for the vision card does work for him as well as Light Helena, giving a bunch of essentially, you know, reaction block, single target resistance, elemental chain resistance, and slash attack up penetration on arena maps only, which is definitely a nice vision card for him and the light elemental characters that fit into that party. Now, as for our new sword character, taking a look, 100 cost, 3 move, 1 jump, light elemental. He is, to my knowledge, a limited character. It says no on here, but he is limited as he is in with another story. Strider and Pugilist, or Battle Axe, I should say, and Fighter are his subjobs. Sword, armor, helm, and accessory are equipable by him, meaning that he can use things such as the Blood Sword, as well as the armor from the Wave battle system. As for his Trust Mastery, here are the stats right here. Mostly a defensive piece of equipment, giving an ability that increases defense penetration by 40 for 3 turns for allies, and debuff effect weakening by 30, so a pretty nice piece of equipment. Master ability works to give AoE resistance, as well as acquired AE. Dream ability, 20% attack, reaction block rate of 20, and upgrades a series of skills. Taking a look at the skills, before we get into supports, let's take a look at a few other things. First off, Pugilist is nothing super special, but does give him strike attacks, potentially working with strike-based characters. Nothing terribly exciting here from my eyes. As for Strider, Strider does give an attack and spirit increase. Potentially gives him access to slow, some debuffs, and an accuracy boost for himself and allies, while also increasing his slash attack power. So Strider does have some good. What you're essentially giving up is a select to target and inflict stun, and increase light and dark resistance, while increasing dark killer as well. A nice couple of abilities, but maybe particularly only if you are fighting dark elemental parties. Now, looking at his main kit, there is a bunch of stuff to talk about, so we will try and sum this up as quickly as possible. First off, his base attack, select 2 targets, 121 mod, Dispel Auto Revive. Next, however, this ability does have a very, very short range. The next ability that we're going to talk about is particularly SWAT, so increased physical-based resistance from 5 to 10, minimum of 4, maximum of 7 range for 3 turns for self. So essentially, he can reduce the amount of physical damage he takes. Also, magical damage as well. Increases elemental chain resistance of 15% for himself, and increases attack for 40% turns. Next ability, Dispel Ignore Fatal Damage, 200% mod. When the target is automatically killed, cast a secondary skill, which, if we scroll all the way down, is this one, Restore AP or Restore HP. These are 2 effects on his. It is up to 1 only, so that is worth noting. Next ability is Buff ability, which does get upgraded. Upgraded gives single target resistance of 20, elemental chain resistance 40 for 4 turns, restores 20 AP for himself, reduces physical damage and magical damage for 15% for 3 turns, and grants the following effect: Dispel all buffs, haste, physical damage, and magical damage buffs for 3 turns. Now, this is only for himself. That was something that we were interested in the initial details of him, whether or not it would be for allies as well, but it essentially is only on him, which is a little disappointing, but it would have been perhaps too strong otherwise. As for this, as you can see, the way we read this ability is just a little bit difficult to see, as it is a series of upgrades, but the general details are this. You can select up to 2 targets, break physical barriers for the target, 200% mod. When the enemy target is killed, automatically cast the AP recovery version. Before it was the HP one, this is the AP one. And that is the range. His job level 25, increased defense penetration 40 for 3 turns for self with the 200% mod. So, and last but not least, Limit Burst for his attacks. You can select up to 3 targets to spell Protect for those targets, 200% mod, and decrease CT of 15 is a double hit on each for 58 AP. So what else is there to say? Well, his counter ability is primarily a chance to counter slash and magic damage, 60%, increase HP and AP if he does get hit. It's a pretty nice counter. If it ever does trigger, if you're up against certain damage types, though, you essentially do get nothing, which is a little disappointing. But there you go. As for his support skills, this is pretty interesting. So his one support skill is essentially increase single target resistance 15, elemental resistance of 12, slash attack resistance of 40, and 200% chance of physical damage of 10%. His other one increases defense penetration, pierce resistance, and magic resistance. And this, you'll notice, as well as this, are essentially the same ability except for one thing. One changes one of his skills to piercing type attacks, one of his changes to striking based attacks. So much like the original Lucio, he can change his damage type for certain attacks, which means he is very flexible to work with certain other types of characters and may change the way you essentially look at this character, including the fact that he can equip other pieces of equipment. Strider also gives him increased accuracy and defense penetration, and the fighter can give him extra HP and attack percentage. Really quickly, taking a look at Lucio, it's very clear that he is a very damage resistant character capable of boosting his own attack and the attack capabilities of others. While having a ton of utility, it is clear that he does have a good amount of firepower, but the lack of certain speed nodes does make him feel a little bit slower than more recent characters such as A2, Helena, and the like, meaning that this character is probably going to be a little bit more on a defensive style, and to my initial impressions, think that he will be generally a strong character, definitely not an OP character unless something comes along to push him up further than he was before. However, when it comes to being able to equip things such as the Starlight Sword, which gives him extra debuff resistance and elemental resistance, as well as attack, and increasing his own slash attack, there's quite a few reasons why this character will still be generally quite strong, simply because old Lucio's equipment seems to benefit him nicely. As for where his best team will be, certainly sticking him with the new Helena and Bart seems to be a reasonable assumption. However, there could be a really good slash-based team that could also want this character there. So we'll take a look at him in action in the next video and make an initial judgment next time. Thanks for watching. See you later.